constant sorrow all through his days.
And welcome to the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. I'm your host, Tom Clark, along with co-hosts Corey Carroll and Colton Jacobs, here to bring you weekly insight on all things NASCAR, with a review of past week's races and a preview of upcoming events on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at TCW Speed Report. Email your questions to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Check out the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report Facebook page. And a quick shout out to our official partners, Rao Brothers Painting in Hickory, North Carolina, and the City Farm Project, also located in Hickory, North Carolina. And I would like to welcome my co-hosts for the evening, Corey Carroll and Colton Jacobs. Corey, it's good to have you back. Yeah. How was Baston?
It was way different than anything I've ever experienced, that's for sure.
Did you pack your car?
I didn't have a car. I had a Subway.
Oh, you had a Subway. Okay. Colton, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tom. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's glad to have the whole gang back.
Yeah.
We took the week off. Last week we had an off week. It's summertime, so people were kind of taking some vacation.
Yeah.
This is our review of the Toyota Save Mart 350 at Sonoma Raceway. Of course, this is our first road course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The last race on the Fox broadcast schedule, and the last race for analyst Larry McReynolds.
Woo! Yes.
And so technically we're going to dedicate this to the memory of Larry Mack. 15 years we've had Larry Mack. And so I just want to say...
It feels like 37 years.
I just want to say, you can't do that. So, let's start off. Of course, the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series were off this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We had A.J. Allmendinger sitting on the pole, which to me was no surprise.
Yeah, that was, he was my pick to win the race, and he started things off right, getting the pole.
Yeah. Certainly a favorite heading into the race. So go ahead from the green flag. Tell me what kind of happened in the early settings there.
Well, Kurt Busch jumped out in front of Allmendinger and pretty much led the bulk of the first, I would say, third of the race. There wasn't much going on. There's just nice clean racing up until lap 22, and David Gilliland just blew a left front tire going into the 10th turn. The fastest part of the track just went off into the dirt and was never seen again almost.
Yeah, he hit hard too. And what was it they showed? They showed a clip from a wreck. But I can't remember. But
yeah, it was Derek Cope and somebody. And
Derek Cope.
Yeah.
In the early 90s or late 80s, maybe even. And there was just I don't know what it was. It wasn't any sort of wall, I guess.
It was just like one row of just like they laid down a bunch of tires. That was it. Just
yeah, and like a white wall made of paper, evidently, and
paper towels.
Yeah, and they just flew up into the sky. Is what they did, and landed on the other side of the hill.
It kind of reminds me of like an indoor monster truck rally. 43 cars ready to blow your tops off. That stuff like that. Blown up in the sky, landed on their nose. Drivers dying left and right.
Yeah, I mean, but what was it? But DW couldn't get off of talking about the tire walls and how important they are now, and they do absorb a lot of the blow. But boy, he talked about them for a good 20 laps. I mean,
they absorb a lot of the blow.
Yeah,
those tire walls, man, they'll tear up a car quicker than any concrete wall will, just about.
Yeah, because you got you got a lot of give there.
You got a lot of grab with the tread on the tires of the wall. They just I feel like if a car hits a concrete wall, it kind of just slides off. It's slicker than tires. Tires are grippy, and it grabs the car and tears it apart.
It doesn't. You don't have to be going fast to tear up a car at a road course with the tire barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had the story of the 3-stop versus 2-stop strategy, very much like a Formula One race. I'm guessing because I'm the only one that ever pays attention to any of that stuff. But they talk about that a lot of how are they gonna how a 2 versus 3 stop race will turn out.
I told Colton about the time the first pit stops were being made that I think the call is 2 stops if you can make it happen. Like that didn't seem to be the strategy that most people chose, but there was a good number of the drivers who chose the two stop strategy, and it we'll get into it in a minute when we get towards the end of the race. But it almost worked out the way it
worked out for some drivers,
right?
Some drivers. So we had basically that's what ended up helping get Jimmie Johnson into the lead, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had a good car, but
yeah.
I mean that was what really catapulted him to first.
Yeah, and I guess we go ahead and skip on to towards the end on that. I think it was a caution with 9 or 10 laps to go, and everybody came in and left Jimmie out there by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was some like Jamie McMurray and Jeff Gordon and those guys. They were towards the back. They stayed out too to get the track position. But it really left Jimmie very vulnerable because by that time his tires were well worn, and everybody coming on pit road was getting 4. And I mean, they made a pretty good difference at this track. And so when it came down to it, it was an issue of tires and not pitting enough. But had that race stayed green, Jimmie probably would have won that race.
Yeah, he had a very big lead even before taking his final pit stop. I think it was around lap 70. That was the goal.
Yeah.
During the late race restart, I think after that caution with about 11 or 10 to go, we saw David Reagan and Carl Edwards get into it. And like he said, it was just good, hard road course racing. He said he knew it was going to be bad when they were together. He knew that something was going to happen, and ultimately both cars got into the tire barrier.
Yeah.
That happened to be the caution before last.
Oh.
The last caution was Casey Mears' tire rolling.
Yeah, the dang axle broke off of it or whatever.
Yeah. It was just rolled into the infield or whatever, little like drag racing area that they have there. But before that was when Carl and David Reagan got together, and Reagan got together earlier with Martin Truex Jr. and I mean Martin just ran him clear off the track.
Yeah,
and
I saw that replay. Yeah,
and Reagan ended his day, and then the caution you're talking about, Tom. I think Carl was trying to get a little more than what he had room to get, and it caused them both to wreck.
Yeah. Now, just to put in perspective, Jimmie Johnson led 45 laps, and with a lap being, 2 minutes at that track, maybe a minute and a half, that seems to be, a big chunk with, I think, 110 laps total.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmie and Kurt Busch had the best 2 cars. I mean, they led the bulk of the laps. Jimmie at 45, like you said, and Kurt led 43. But it's just that cat and mouse strategy game, and Jimmie, well, he was just a sitting duck at the end. I mean, he couldn't. Boyer and Kyle Busch and them, and that restart right after they got the tires, it was intense. Boyer took it 3 wide and turned 2 or 3. I can't remember which one exactly it was, and knocked the hell out of him. He about went in the dirt, and he might have gone in the dirt. I can't remember, and that allowed Kyle Busch to get around him on the outside, put him as the first car with 4 tires, and that eventually is what helped him win the race.
I saw the last 6 laps, and Kurt Busch was coming hard and finally got by Boyer with 1 lap to go and closed the gap up pretty big. And they had a shot of Samantha Busch and the team. She was getting emotional.
Yeah.
With like 1.5 laps to go.
Yeah.
And it does, to me, it harkens back to guys like Tim Richmond being so good at Riverside Raceway after coming down with AIDS and having to take some time off, but then coming back and being victorious. I thought it was pretty cool to see Kyle Busch after going through what he's been through so far this year to come back and win at a road course. Although, some of the situations helped him get to that lead and keep that lead, but older brother Kurt was making had he passed Boyer a lap before, or if there was one lap to go after that, I think older brother Kurt would have given him a run for the money.
Well, yeah, but if you put it in perspective here, I mean, look at how long it took Tony to just get back in the race car, and Tony really hasn't been competitive since he broke his leg, really. And for Kyle Busch to do that, come back 5-6 months later, and then win a race at a road course on the broken leg, broken ankle, it's impressive.
Oh yeah, lots and lots of talent. So he's got one thing marked off his list, and as far as making the chase, he has to still finish within the top 30 in points. I think they gave the number. He's got to finish at least an average finish of 13th from here to Richmond with the win.
Something like that, yeah.
Anything else about the Toyota Save Mart 350?
If anybody watching the race did not get the memo that you have to drive a flawless race per DW to win at Sonoma. Flawless. He probably said it about 800 times during this race. So,
I do want to give a shout out to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Amy Ryman. We tweeted it up, but I just want to give an official Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report congratulations to those two on their engagement.
Yeah. What a boss thing to do it in Germany.
Yeah, man.
I wish I could do that.
I know.
Take that schnitzel and put it in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah.
Like, Wiedersehen.
I'd take all the money I have to buy the ring. I have to give it to her like Denny's or something.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Well, the cool thing is, I tweeted Dale Jr. and he never replied back. But I said the funny thing is, a week before this happened, I got this sudden urge to learn German. You want to hear some?
Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah. So I know how to say two things. I know how to say I'm an outsider and spaghetti with tomato sauce. So here we go. Ich bin Ausländer and Spaghetti mit Tomatensauce.
Guten Morgen.
Yeah,
that's good Morgan. Wie heißt du? How are you?
Wie heißt du? Okay, so anyway,
my dialect is awful, but
yeah, you got that southern drawl to it. So anyway, congrats to Dale Jr. We're gonna preview the Coca-Cola 400, Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, coming this July 4th weekend.
Yeah,
very traditional race.
Yeah,
July race in Daytona.
Firecracker 400.
I've always known it as the Pepsi 400. So
they needed to go to a better beverage, so they went to Coke.
Oh,
so
Coke.
So I don't. I think it'll be again a crapshoot, but I will say that I think during this hot summer months in Florida, that the track will be just a skosh rougher. Skoshi rougher than it was in February. And I don't think handling will be a huge issue, but I think versus 2011 during the repave, they will be talking about handling a little bit more at this race than years past, because the sun beats down that asphalt, the oils come out, makes it a little slick. First race back for NBC.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool.
Get Rick Allen and Steve Letarte and Jeff Burton in there.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be hot. It'll be slick. They'll be sliding around. The best handling race car is going to win the race. That's what's going to happen. It happens every year.
Now I will throw in, because it is a plate race and it does level the playing field somewhat. The guys that have not been locked into the chase are going to make crazy moves.
Yeah.
To try to score the victory before the chase.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Now this is a little bit farther ahead of schedule, but I do want to kind of mention it's confirmed now that the new aero package will be run at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
3.5-inch tall spoiler. Yeah, right there, Corey. And smaller radiator pan, making some aerodynamic changes to see if they can create the racing better.
And that's just at Kentucky, right?
I think from Steve O'Donnell, the I don't know what his title is, but said that they would take a look at the results from this race and possibly either do other tracks like that. But so far, this package is just for the Kentucky race.
Okay.
It's not a test session that they're actually going to use in the race. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I guess that's something we could talk about more next week.
True.
When we preview Kentucky. And maybe by then we'll have more kind of info about it.
Hopefully
be able to
so.
tell the listeners.
Hopefully so. Correct.
Yeah, Tom, what are your thoughts on the race being on Sunday night this year instead of Saturday night?
Hey, yeah, that threw me for a loop when I actually checked to see if I was going to be able to catch it, because I wanted to go to the Bluegrass Festival too.
Yeah.
So I think it's maybe it's more kind of an experiment.
Yeah, they just said that it was, per the NBC executive, it's something like they wanted to tap into their Sunday night football magic or whatever. That's
not
true.
I mean, that's what he said. So I mean, it's
no,
not
it's
going to
because Saturday night's July 4th and everybody's going to be outside watching fireworks. Like that.
Check out the big brain on Corey.
I mean, right?
That's not what the NBC executive said.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I forgot that everything he says is right, and not manipulative at all.
I'm just reporting the facts.
I don't need you to report facts. This is a podcast with opinions.
Yes.
Well,
It's not CNN.
I can report the facts. You can do what you will with it.
Yeah, I like that sound. So yeah, it'll be fun. Hey. I'll be off Sunday. So
It pisses me off because I got to go to work on Monday morning.
well,
I'm gonna have to.
Knock on wood. I hope I don't have to work. We'll see about that though. All right, so we move on to our fantasy picks for Daytona.
Fantasy picks. All right. Well,
now, it's been 2 weeks, so I'd like to take a look and see how our. Oh, geez.
Not good, Tom. Not good. We're losing ground here, man.
I.
Well, look.
Oh yeah, you're losing ground too.
Yeah, I mean, this race really with Corey getting. Listen to his last four: second, first. So he's making some good picks. Mine's 37th, 19th, 11th, and 6th, and yours is 42nd, 29th, 17th, and 36th. So Corey's really stretched the lead here, but this is a good chance to make up some ground. So who's your pick for Daytona?
My pick for Daytona is you guys. I better not, man. I better not.
Pick whoever you want, I reckon.
You know, I'd like to see him pull another one off. I'm going to pick Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now look at the trends, y'all. Trends say that Dale Jr. will probably crash because Tom picked him in his fantasy report or his fantasy thing.
That is what trends say, but my computer's messing up here. Well, I guess I'm gonna kind of go off what we saw in February. I'm gonna go out on a limb a little bit here. He had a really strong car. I'm gonna have him coming off of this momentum. I think I'm gonna pick Clint Boyer. I'm gonna pick Clint Boyer because a lot of people around the garage said he was the best pusher in February. He had a fast car. He just got stuck. But what?
I know what you mean now. I get what you mean. Like every time there's a smirk out of you, I get it now.
What are you smirking about, Corey?
It's over now. You missed it.
I kind of think I know what's going on here, but just make your damn pick.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with obvious picks because that's why I'm 54 points in the lead. So I'm going to pick Jimmie.
Boo.
I thought about it, but I think Boyer's going to have some restrict plate magic.
Corey says no. So that is our I'm mathematically eliminated at 348 points.
No, remember the lowest week gets dropped.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, since we changed it up, changed up the points.
Yep.
So
So, to you listeners of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report, it's a surprise to me, it's a surprise to a lot of people, but on our itinerary for this evening, we have a trivia round.
Yes, we have a trivia round.
And Corey, will you explain that?
Shut up. This is what happened. I'm just kidding. All right. So the story goes that while I was up in Boston, I was staying with my stepmother's aunt, Susan DeProfio, and hey, she's the sweetest human being that walks this earth. I promise you. And after getting in on Monday night, after going to Fenway and all that, having a good time, I come back, and in the guest room where I was staying lay a stack of books that she had bought for me at the local bookstore. And she knew I loved racing, so she bought anything that said racing on it. And she ended up, one of the books was this trivia book. She also got me a novel from the perspective of a dog, and his owner was an open wheel racer. And
yeah, they hate racers.
And she also got me a book, The Legends of Formula One.
I might take a look at that.
Yeah. I'll let you take a look at it. It was really sweet. I had to tell her, I don't know anything about Formula One.
That is a very kind gesture, though.
It's very kind.
That's your chance to learn about it if you want to.
Yeah, that's right. They treated me so well up there. It was almost uncomfortable. But anyway, this NASCAR trivia book.
Did she let you walk around the house in your underwear? Kind of comfortable, or
she probably would have, but I didn't. She's really nice.
Okay.
So it's got a bunch of different sections in here. This week we're going to do. It's multiple choice, but I'm not going to ask it to you in multiple choice fashion because these are questions that we should know.
We should know, and I'm pretty good at NASCAR trivia.
Without needing without needing the choices, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway,
let's get this started.
To start this off, in which year was the first Daytona 500 held?
1959.
I'm terrible with dates. I'm awful with dates. Don't ask me anything about dates.
Can you just say a year?
I thought it was like 54 or something, but
54, 58,
59. I said
59, 48, or 54.
Yeah,
59, 54. I'm gonna go 48.
Do we have answers?
Yes, the answer's right here. Okay. It was Tom. Tom gets it. The first Daytona 500 was held at Daytona International Speedway on February 22nd, 1959.
Try me again.
Hey, yeah, man.
All right. Who was the recipient of the inaugural Rookie of the Year award in the NASCAR Premier Series? Who won the first Rookie of the Year?
I'm going to go with Tim Flock.
Tim Flock.
Oh, man. I don't know. That's tough.
Colton doesn't remember past like 1988.
I'm starting to realize how bad I am at my NASCAR history. I need to brush up. Pass.
Okay, I'm not going to answer because I actually accidentally looked at the answer. But the answer is Shorty Rollins.
That's what I was going to say.
Shorty Rollins won in 1958. All right.
Just give us one more.
No, I'm giving you three more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who is the only driver to have won the NASCAR Premier Series championship under both the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup format and the previous format?
Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all know that it's Stewart.
Yeah.
And that is right. He won in 2002 and 2005.
I was about to say Gordon, but he hadn't won since it's been the chance.
Shut up. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
All right, two more. Who has the most career wins in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series among active drivers as of the start of the 2012 season?
Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple, right? Jeff Gordon.
With 80, prior to the 2012 season was 85 career wins.
That's right, 85. Who was the oldest driver to have won a race in the NASCAR Nationwide Series?
Martin.
I'm gonna go with Jack Ingram.
I'm gonna go with Lake Speed. Let's see what we got. Dick Trickle.
Oh, damn, Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle was 56
Wow.
when he won at Darlington in September of 1998.
98. Wow. Jeez.
So that is our NASCAR trivia for the week.
For the week.
That's a good segment.
If you, the listeners of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report, have any trivia questions you would like to submit to us, please email them to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you, Aunt Susie.
Yes, Aunt Susie,
Yeah,
thank
Aunt
you.
Susie. Yeah.
I'd like to meet this Aunt Susie.
Oh, she is a trip, man.
Need to have her
I
call.
like old trippy ladies.
I tell you what, she was asking me what kind of movie, or no, what it was is I saw something on Twitter that my buddy Aaron Burns, who writes for National Speed Sport magazine, if he's listening, who we'd love to have as a guest one day.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he posted a picture of a Days of Thunder lunchbox on Twitter, and I showed Aunt Susie. I said, "Look, this is one of my favorite movies." And she was like, "What is it?" Oh, Days of Thunder. Yeah, you know. And we got talking about movies a little later, and she was like, "I need to see that one movie. What is it? Thunder Road or what is?" I was like, No. Days of Thunder. The Days of Thunder. No. Super excited, but still wrong. I tell you.
Does she have a New England accent?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Days of Thunder. That's the movie I was thinking about.
Wait, she don't smoke though, so she don't sound like that.
That's the movie I was thinking about.
That's closer, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Corey, I heard you like racing. Archie, what is it, Edith?
Stifle yourself, Edith.
Yeah. We're supposed to be incognitus.
Listen here, meathead. So cool. It sounds. We could have her call in one day.
Oh yeah,
that would be awesome. So we move on to our green-white-checkered round, Mr. Colton Jacobs.
Yeah, green-white-checkered. So our green flag question, we're just going to kind of answer the age-old question of do road courses belong in the Sprint Cup Series? Are 2 races enough? Should be less. And I know we've touched on it a little bit this year, but what are your thoughts on their place in NASCAR?
I think, from what I know, they've always been a part of NASCAR in some way, shape, or form. But I do think one belongs in the chase. Now, my choice would be the Montreal track, because when the Nationwide Series was there, they always had great finishes. But I would have it like start the chase, because I'm not sure what the weather's like up that far north. So I would assume that by the time the chase rolls around, it would start getting a little cooler, but that'd be perfect to hold a road course race. International market, I think it would be a hit. In fact, because the Montreal track did not get a Sprint Cup Series date is the reason NASCAR and their relationship dissolved, and the Nationwide Series does no longer race there anymore. But yeah, I think at least one belongs in the chase. I don't know about adding a total number to equal 3 would be great, but certainly.
Like, would you say move the Glen into it, or it'd be? I mean, it's New York, so it'd be coldish.
I would think that Sonoma would be the pick. Leave the Glen where it's at, and then move Sonoma down further.
Okay, Corey.
I agree with Tom as far as taking Sonoma if you're going to take a race into the chase. Sonoma's the better road course in my opinion. It deals a lot more with tight hairpin turns and a lot more braking and stuff than Watkins Glen does, and I think that's a very unique aspect of road racing that Watkins Glen doesn't have as much of. I think road racing has a place in NASCAR, especially if you think about the routes and driving along backcountry roads, eluding the law. You know, I think that's a nod to it. I don't know about it being in the chase. I think you race too many ovals during the course of a season to have a road course thrown in there to mess up your chance at a championship if you're not a good road course racer. We already have one huge wild card race with Talladega. But on the other hand, we're trying to find the best race car driver all around. So maybe it does deserve a spot in the chase. I don't know. I really don't have an opinion on that. But I think it would be real savvy of NASCAR to try to go internationally to a road course like Laguna Seca or something like that, or Suzuka in Japan, or something like that. They go to the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
That'd
be a hell of a race.
Would you say it was it'd be like a 2-lap race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd be open-minded to that. But with stuff like this, I kind of lean more traditional. So I kind of to the point where I don't really have a huge opinion on this subject.
I think one belongs in the chase if it was the old chase format, not with the new, with it broken up into the segments. Where do you put it? I mean, if it was like a full, just a 10 race like it was, I say stick it in there somewhere. But if
maybe we have Clint Boyer to push it in. He's the best pusher out there.
Yeah, but but with the segments, because I just don't know where you would put it in the chase that would make it fair.
Yeah, because I mean that's a real big mulligan that you have within a 3-race stretch that you might have to score a win to move on to the next round. So
yeah, I mean it really opens the door for some people, but not with the segments the way it is. So we'll move on to the white flag question. White flag question is you look at Kyle Busch. He scored the win today. 136 point deficit from 30th. Realistic chances of him making that up and getting in the chase.
Something caught my eye. It was a cat or a dog or something. Realistically, just knowing the Kyle Busch that we know, I think he'll, as Darrell Waltrip likes to say, he'll end up beating himself. Nothing against Kyle. Nothing. That's not a bad thing to me. It's just I think he will take his talents to the max and end up beating himself. So I don't think that making the chase should be Kyle Busch's number one priority at this point.
Just winning races.
Just winning races and taking care of his newborn child, which I'm sure he's doing.
I honestly think he's as good as in just because the people he has to jump over to get to 30th stink. Yeah. Who is it? Can you look it up?
Yeah, here we'll look at it.
Well, let's just look at.
See, he's got 125. Let's look at who's okay.
He's behind, De Benedetto.
Yeah, you got Stenhouse. God, there's Tony Stewart. So here you can.
Yeah, I mean he's got to pass Matt De Benedetto, Brett Moffitt. Some of these people don't even race every week.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't see it being much of a problem for him, but I will agree with Tom. He's still got to perform, and he can't beat himself, which is what he always does in the chase or beforehand. So, if he can take advantage of this win and drive smart all the way to Richmond, then I think he'll be good. But
yeah,
it's not blowing motors. It's not getting into it with people. It's making sure, hey, I can either stick my neck out on the line and try to win, or I can ride safely and finish 5th easily. I think he's at a point where he needs to be conservative and try to finish 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, along the lines that you said, he's either going to just meet himself or have something go terribly wrong, but I think if he does make it, he's going to be hard to contend with because he's going to have to run so well from here to there. He's going to have so much momentum. I say if he does make it, he's going to be a legitimate championship contender. That's what I'm thinking. But what they like you said, Tom, average 13th place finish for him from here on out. So Got to get through Daytona safe. Got to get through Darlington, Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, every week the scenario changes for him. So, like I said, to me, it wouldn't be worth it trying to make the chase and then not performing in the chase.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like showing up for the game and like saying I don't want to try. And
yeah.
So.
All right. Well, our checkered flag question. We're going to kind of dig deep here with this one. It's been a very hot button issue through the week or so, and we're going to talk about the Confederate flag and its place in NASCAR and thoughts on that.
Well, me and Corey kind of hashed it out over the old face space. No, I wouldn't say hash it out, but civil conversation. When it comes to the Confederate flag, I don't think NASCAR really has the power to absolutely ban it or to have people standing around making sure it doesn't fly or anything like that. But I do think NASCAR has and will continue to try to distance themselves from the stipulations that come with it. I'm not saying that everyone that flies a Confederate flag falls within a certain, category or whatever. But because there's too much associated with it, they're going to try to distance themselves from that as far as possible. Bill France Jr., before his passing in 2007, talked about when that whole era was going on, he said it was just like Dale Jr. said, it's a part of history. It happened. We're not going to lie. And that's that. I mean, we're not going to, we're not going to not acknowledge that our roots are in the South. Mm-hmm. So, now when it comes to like public property, no, I don't want that. If I'm a taxpayer, I don't want that flying at the courthouse because I'm an American, not a Confederate American or something like that. It'd be like somebody. No, seriously, you got me started now. It would be like somebody still flying a Third Reich flag. Something that doesn't exist anymore, but they still feel strongly about. Why do you feel strongly about it? It doesn't exist anymore. It happened. It's not going to come back within, hopefully, ever. And the whole Sons of Confederacy, like, how do you know you're related to that person? I mean, and why are you still... Anyway, does it belong in NASCAR? No.
Corey.
Okay, so...
We'll kick my chair back here for this
because
one.
it'd be wild.
That's an odd question. Does it belong in NASCAR? I don't know if you can say. I don't know if you can say stuff like that, but like belongs in any high profile thing. But I mean, they're for one, they're not going to stop people from flying it in the infield. That's ridiculous. I don't think they even ever intended to do that.
No,
but. when that statement first came out, that's what everybody thought they meant, and it's like, well, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah,
you don't want to poke at that bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to go down to Darlington and tell people they can fly their flag.
Exactly.
I mean, you won't have anybody to watch the race.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand why NASCAR says it. It's one of those things that NASCAR should realize, though, that they're still not as they're still more regional than they may like to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, whether there's only a handful of drivers from the South now, most of your fans are still from the South. They really are.
That is true. I will agree, because a lot of the people I talk to from that grew up or just recently moved down here always ask me, what's the big thing about racing? It's obviously not a big thing up north, so. But hopefully we can get Aunt Susie hooked.
Yeah, heck yeah.
As far as my opinion, I in no way, shape, or form believe that I'm flying it to support a non-existing country. Like, that's not what it means to me at all. Like, it does not mean that I want the South to rise again. It does not mean that I hate black people or any other minority. It does not mean that at all. Like, it represents a portion of the land of the country that is unique, with its heritage, with its culture, as far as the food and the music that Tom plays so well. You should hear this man play the banjo. I mean, goodness gracious. The accents, the pace of life.
I will agree with that much.
It's so different, and to me, that's all that people who use this flag are trying to say. Like, hey, I'm Southern and I'm proud of it. This flag does not mean racism anymore. You can't let a few bad apples spoil the bunch just because the Ku Klux Klan used this flag to perpetuate their hatred. Doesn't mean that that's what it means now. In fact, they use the American flag to do the same very thing, and we don't think of it that way either. So, why people are getting bent out of shape about it, I really personally don't understand. I mean, this wasn't an issue until the killings in Charleston. It really wasn't. Nobody gave a crap about it.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything because it didn't matter. Everybody knew it didn't matter. They didn't care. But now all of a sudden, it's a huge hot button issue because somebody wanted to stir something up.
Yeah. Good
That's
insight.
it.
Good insight.
Yeah. I mean, you guys pretty much covered most. My opinion's pretty just. I mean, I think people just look for something to get tore up about. People look for a reason to argue or to fight about something or to write about something. I think in NASCAR, I think it's such a deep sewn part of the root of NASCAR. To answer the question, does it belong in NASCAR? I mean, that question is just. I mean,
it's like asking if beer belongs in NASCAR.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like, NASCAR flies the Confederate flag
I know.
at each track.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fan, and as a fan, that's their right as an American.
Yeah, and that's why I go back to, I don't think NASCAR is going to have people lining the infield saying, "Hey, you can't do that." So, I mean, but I'm just speaking on an overall, but.
Yeah,
it's not like people are out front of the ticket like waving it, be like, "No black people in here," Yeah, like, it's not like it's not like that. It's like, to me, like to our listeners, I'll say you both have been in my house.
Yes.
What do I have hanging up?
Confederate flag.
Mm-hmm.
A huge Confederate flag on one wall, and what do I have on the very other wall?
The "Don't Tread on Me."
No, the American flag.
Oh, sorry,
flag.
I don't pay that much attention.
It's saying that I'm proud to be an American and I'm proud to be a Southern American. It doesn't say black people not allowed.
Well, that's because I know you, Corey, but there are some people that I've ran into that are... and like you said, I unfortunately have let a few bad apples spoil my bunch because of the reasons they claim to do it, to me, are sometimes just absolutely freaking ridiculous.
Well, it's like...
but they repeat what you said, but they have no way of explaining it. A lot of times, that some of the people I run into. I'm not saying everyone. I'm just.
And to some people, their view of it is a flag of hatred. It is a flag of racism, and that's the way they use it. And that's just a misuse of the flag.
Yeah.
That's just being ignorant to its history.
I will say. I mean, I'm not. My mother's from the Philippines. I'm half Filipino, but I personally have never looked at that and thought, "Oh, those people must hate me." Yeah. I've never personally, on a personal level, no, I've never felt that.
I don't think most people do.
Really,
I mean, like Dylan Roof, who for all our listeners nationwide was captured about 30 minutes from where we're sitting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. In Shelby, North Carolina. Hats off to the Shelby PD.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, shout out.
But his Facebook picture had a with a shirt on of a couple flags. One was a South African flag, and one was the former country of Rhodesia that is now Zimbabwe. And Rhodesia was ran by white people, a minority of white people, kind of taking control, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And if knowing that history, if I would see somebody with maybe a Rhodesian flag in their house, maybe I'll ask, what does that mean to you? And it may be, my great uncle served in the Rhodesian military, and he was a great man, and he did a lot for a lot of people, and that's why I have this up in my house. And maybe it has nothing to do with the fact that it was a country ran by a minority of white people. Absolutely nothing to do with it, because I have many African American friends. I love them dearly, and I wouldn't trade them for anything in the world. So some people have used it for racism. I have an issue with people saying that this is a racist symbol. A symbol, by definition, is symbolic to whatever is personal to you.
Yeah.
Again, like just to answer the general consensus of my opinion is that I think NASCAR said what they need to say. They don't need to say anymore.
Yeah.
It's time to let it go.
Let it go. And
they just had to say that one thing to make it public, and I don't think they're trying to stir up a hornet's nest or anything.
No, and they shouldn't, and I don't think they ever really have. But just like I said, it's kind of a like you said, Corey. It's not really that big of an issue. It never really has been here, even recently as of late. It was a bandwagon media type thing. Like I said, my personal opinion is, I know it sounds a little wishy-washy or unstable, but I push for their disassociating from it due to the few bad apples. That's why.
Yep, those few bad apples.
Mm-hmm. That'll do it.
So,
thank you, KKK, for ruining our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, bastards.
Well, that concludes our review of the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Sonoma Raceway.
Yeah. Shout out to Larry Mack.
Hey, yeah. Let me just go on a Larry Mack tirade before we end the show.
Can I just say before you do that?
Yes.
That how incredible it is. We talked about the race at Sonoma and the KKK in the same podcast.
That's pretty crazy.
Like, that's so different. That's such different topics.
Yeah.
Those are like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, trends say that I will not be back with Fox Sports next year because I want to give a shout out to Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip. They've been my colleagues for 15 years here on the Fox broadcast booth. On it or in it? In it, preferably. And I want to say that it has been a pleasure being made fun of by the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. I know they kid because they care, and that's what I like to say a lot. But, again, I want to say one more time, when you go to KFC and you order chicken, you've got a choice between original recipe and extra crispy. And if you're not careful in the drive-thru, you'll end up 7 wide.
Can't do that, can you, Larry?
No, you can't do that. Hey, Larry, executives at Fox have some bad news for you. We're going to let you go at the end of the season and put Jeff Gordon in there. You can't do that. Larry Mack, we love you. You've been a great joy to us. We kid because we care. You'll always be in our hearts, and be in my heart because he helped me on a career research project in 10th grade. So I'll always be grateful to Larry Mack for that. This concludes our this edition of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at TCW Speed Report. Email your questions to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Check out the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report Facebook page. Quick shout out to our official partners, Rao Brothers Painting in Hickory, North Carolina, and the City Farm Project in Hickory, North Carolina. This is your host, Tom Clark, signing out.
He'll meet you on God's golden shore.